2016 is halfway over, and we have seen some of what the indie world has to offer. While there were some notable omissions from games we anticipated seeing this early in the year, 2016 has given us plenty of absolutely incredible games and experiences. Today on Indie Connect, we will be taking a look at 2016 and build a top 10 list around what will be a contender for Game of the Year. Using my obviously very scientific method, we will take a look back and showcase what deserves recognition in what has been a busy and exciting year in indie games. A quick side note, the list will include games that actually released this year. If it was released earlier than 2016 but was early access, it will still be considered for 2016's Game of the Year. With all of that out of the way, let's take a look at the list. Some of you may be rolling your eyes at this one, and I considered leaving it off the list due to the fact this game was released the day before I started making this video. However, I gave it a fair shake and can say confidently that this game should be on everybody's radar. Fury is an action boss rush where you fight against a series of opponents as you attempt to gain your freedom from those who imprisoned you. The combat is tight and brutal, and it will punish you on a regular basis if you aren't being careful and smart. Each boss is unique and evolves over the course of the fight to keep the fights interesting and continually raise the stakes. The main character is real cool, and the companion keeps giving mysterious tips to further the plot. The game was released July 5th from the Game Baker studio and is free on PlayStation Plus for July, so you can play this game for free if you own a PlayStation 4. This may be my more controversial entry on the list. Firewatch is an adventure game where you play as Henry, a man whose past life and decisions haunt him. He left his old life to take a position as a park ranger in the Wyoming mountains, a quiet life away from other humanity, watching for fires and other trouble. His only contact to another human is his supervisor in the neighboring watchtower named Delilah. And the only contact with her is through the use of a radio.
Hello? Whoever this is?
It's Henry, right?
Yeah.
I'm Delilah.
Yeah, that's what the guy said on the phone.
What sets this game apart from the list is that it is a very adult story. Despite the mystery that builds around the park, the conversations that shed light on the true story of the game between Delilah and Henry really draw you in, and gave me a very strong emotional response.
You take a stab at what's wrong with me.
While not deep with replay value, the experience is well worth the ride.
Forever?
Sure, buddy. Okay, now go ahead.
You've killed 3 husbands. You're a black widow and you're just out here until the heat dies down and then you'll kill again.
Very good. Bravo, Henry.
Darkest Dungeon without a doubt is the hardest game on this list. Not just, man, I need to try this boss once more and I'll have the rhythm down. No, this game will punish you and push not only you as the player, but your characters to the limits of their sanity. Darkest Dungeon tasks you with hiring a band of mercenaries to clear out the evil demons and monsters that have invaded your inherited estate. Success lies in not just managing your equipment, but managing your group's sanity, lest they abandon the cause or worse. Vast riches and treasures await you if your intrepid adventurers don't succumb to fear and tear themselves apart in the process. Classic JRPG-inspired combat, mixed with deep and punishing party management, makes this an intense ride every time you brave the crypts and dungeons of your estate. There's more than meets the eye in first-person shooter / puzzler Superhot. What started off as a demo for a game jam many years ago has turned into one of the most visually striking and tightest FPS games around. You control a person much like yourself, a gamer in a VR headset playing a hacked game called Superhot. Mechanically, the game is a wonder to play as time only moves when you do, forcing you to consider each of your actions as a single hit is instant death. You'll use a variety of weapons and attacks including handguns, shotguns, swords, and even beer bottles to best your opponents and complete each stage. The story, which starts off seeming to be a non-factor, ends up being one of the best and more interesting parts of the game, and is worth the 2 to 3 hour playthrough.
The thing to do is lay on the beach and drink till you can't remember where you are.
And sometimes play Truth or Slap.
Following in the footsteps of deep emotional story-based games in the vein of Gone Home and Life is Strange, Oxenfree takes that formula and goes a little nuts with it.
It's fun. Let's do it.
You play as Alex, a young woman who is going on a weekend getaway with some friends from high school. While on Edwards Island, Alex accidentally uses her radio to tune into a frequency that connects her and her group to a ghostly rift. Over the rest of the night, they try desperately
Alex?
to escape the island alive.
Are you okay? You alright? I thought you were dead for a minute.
What makes Oxenfree such a great game is in its strong narrative and branching storylines. Every conversation between all of the characters feels very natural and authentic, and digging into everybody's backstories and motivations draws you into their world and makes you care about the terrifying ordeal they find themselves in. It's a game that makes you want to play through a second or even third time to see where your choices could have impacted the story, and tie together loose ends that you may have missed your first time through.
You alright? They're filtered.
Yeah, no, I'm in flavor country over here.
In the last several years, a new genre has emerged, affectionately known as a Souls-like game, of course referencing the phenomenal Dark Souls series. Few games pull off the feel and aesthetic as well as Sultan Sanctuary. In it, you follow a doomed sailor transporting a princess across the sea. When your ship is destroyed in a storm, it is your mission to bring her safely back. Borrowing from not only the Souls series, but also adding in a dash of Metroidvania-style perspective and world exploration, Sultan Sanctuary employs some attractive 2D animation and brisk risk-reward combat almost to a level of perfection. The world also adopts the dark feel that Dark Souls delivers on so well. Each boss will require multiple attempts to gain a feel for their attack strategies and near pixel-perfect timing to avoid them. What hasn't already been said about Stardew Valley? It's a darling little game borrowing heavily from Harvest Moon. The story starts much like the aforementioned Harvest Moon in that you are a young man or woman who wants to leave the modern hustle and bustle work environments to settle down on a family-owned farm that was left to you from your grandfather. When arriving on the settlement, you find it to be in disrepair and unloved for many long years, and it is up to you to turn that farm into the cash cow it can be. One thing that sets this game apart from Harvest Moon is the sheer number of activities that are available in a playthrough. From combat, to fishing, to farming, to social engineering, Stardew Valley has it all. Most importantly, however, is that there is no end to the game, so your farming adventure doesn't have to end after an arbitrary 2 to 4 year life cycle like so many other games forced from you, letting you play the game and grow your farm at your pace. Be prepared to lose countless hours in a world full of interesting characters and a one more day before I stop mentality that will keep you up long into the night. In my long years of games, nothing prepared me for where this game took me. The similarities between Inside and its predecessor, Limbo, are vast and without careful observation may seem one note at first. However, when you dig deep into what Playdead has created, you see the careful hands at work as they took literally every piece of what made Limbo great and fine-tuned it. The animations are fluid and realistic, the art style is striking yet simplistic. The ambient storytelling really does a great job at telling you what is happening, even when the game refuses to break immersion with button prompts or arbitrary text. Every step of this game pulls you in and will not let go until the final moments fade to black, and leave your jaw dropped firmly to the floor. Blink and you'll find yourself 3 to 4 hours later, questioning everything you saw and scrambling to find any secrets to be found in the world of Inside. From the moment the first visuals of the pixelated Titans crossed screens, people knew that this game was going to be something special. Hyperlight Drifter takes a page out of old-school SNES era by delivering Legend of Zelda-type combat at breakneck speeds. You as the Drifter have a vision of a world-ending event and know that you and only you can stop it. And in the process, cure yourself of a disease that is set on killing you. The Drifter races across a beautifully realized isometric landscape of handcrafted pixel art environments to save what's left of a devastated world. Heart Machine delivers something really special with its blend of old-school pixel art and incredible visual camera work, combined with ominous and mood-setting music that matches the tone of the game just perfectly. What pushes Hyperlight Drifter ahead of its competition is in its marriage of that phenomenal atmosphere with its fantastic and tight gameplay. Combat is punishing yet fair in a very Dark Souls type of way. You'll never feel as though you did not deserve the damage you took, and it drives you to be a better and more efficient player as you unlock more upgrades to clear out enemies. Very few games demand a second or third playthrough as much as Hyperlight Drifter, and will drive you to revisit what is a real gem. No game in recent memory has driven people to such extreme measures as using Photoshop, cell phones, and basic pen and paper to solve puzzles and had every single one of them so enthralled as The Witness. As expected, indie pioneer Jonathan Blow's follow-up to Braid was everything you would have expected and more. The story is incredibly simple. You find yourself on an island devoid of any and all life. All you can find is the evidence that at one point something lived on this island, and a myriad of puzzles left in its wake. The gameplay behind The Witness is simple yet incredibly complex all at the same time, and closely resembles learning a new language. What starts off as a simple line puzzle of move from point A to point B gets more complex as they add in variables to every single area. One area has you listening to sounds and moving the line to match the sound's pitch. One area has you separating different colors in one non-broken line. And a third yet has you finding shadows to overlap the puzzle board and follow the path. You learn each new skill and it all culminates in a final dungeon that makes you use all of your knowledge to solve some truly difficult puzzles. It's a game that I would feverishly check in with my friends to see what they had seen and what they thought. And it was an event for nearly 2 weeks as everybody struggled to come across that finish line and discuss what they thought was happening. The game is truly a masterpiece and something that any puzzle fan must play. So there you have it, the 10 best indie titles thus far in 2016. Did you agree with my list? Was I missing something? Leave a comment below and start the discussion. As always, I will have a link to as many games as possible to purchase and check it out for yourselves. Like, share, and subscribe to get more Let's Plays and indie features here on Indie Connect.